Conference اللي Balkans شهيرة.
Fighting between ethnic Albanians and Macedonian forces near Macedonia's border with Kosovo has raised concerns that this former Yugoslav republic could be an incubator for the next round of Balkan bloodshed. Will Macedonia prove the doomsayers right and become the Balkans' next ethnic powder keg? That's the topic on Open to Question this week. And we're delighted to have with us on the program, as Nihan said, Mr. Mohammed Yusuf Ad, former councillor for UNESCO and an expert on the Balkans region. Sir, welcome to the program. Macedonia was the only republic to break bloodlessly from Yugoslavia. It was the staging point for NATO-led KFOR troops that allowed ethnic Albanians to return to Kosovo after Serb forces were driven out of the province in 1999. So why the insurgency by the ethnic Albanians now?
Well, first of all, there are some false assumptions that are leading to false approaches to the problem of the Balkans as a whole. I think it's better first to clear up these false assumptions, because they make a barrier, a mental barrier, that people are not able to understand what is going on the ground in the Balkans as a whole. So, if you allow me to say some words on these false assumptions.
Give us a background.
Yes. The popular view of the war that erupted in the Balkans, particularly in the former Yugoslavia, were regarded as ethnic conflicts created by ethnic hatred among the local population. And this is the first false assumption that has been going on for some time. I claim that there is no such thing, because when you say conflict, it was a war, and there is a rule by the politicians, mainly by Slobodan Milosevic in particular, who made the conflict at the level of political level. And the second thing is that the wars were a decision by higher level of administration, and the wars were made by formal armies, not by the ordinary people on the street. So it is a false assumption. This applies to Kosovo and to Bosnia, to Croatia and Slovenia.
But what about Macedonia? The ethnic Albanian insurgents have been battling government forces for several months, and particularly in the last 2 weeks, we've seen the Albanian fighters, they've been in a standoff with government forces who have been trying to flush them from a dozen villages in the country's north. Why are the rebels fighting now?
Well, I can't call them rebels, because they are Macedonians. They are not Albanians coming from Kosovo or anywhere else. They are Macedonians. They are Albanian Macedonians.
And they're based mainly in the capital, Skopje,
and the west region.
Right.
In the mountains.
But they are a minority group, the largest ethnic minority.
Well, you can say they are a minority group, and they have problems with the government, and they have rights.
What percentage of the population are they?
Well, according to they are formal statistics. They are 1/3 of the country, but the Albanians themselves, they say they are more than that. Anyway, we can believe that, because this area.
And the total population is 2 million people, so they are a third of the country's 2 million.
Yeah.
What are their demands? What are they pushing for?
Well, most of these people are not employed by the government. They don't have representatives in the parliament. They are excluded from the jobs of the state. They have no rights at all as an effect. All what they want to have these rights fulfilled, and if they have their rights, they will fight.
So they're just pushing for reforms to give them more rights and improve their access to education and employment.
Yes. This is exactly what I want to emphasize, that these people are Macedonian, Albanian Macedonian, like when you say the Arab of Morocco or Arab of Egypt or Arab of Palestine, these people are there. They didn't come from another country. That's one thing. The other thing is that if they have their rights, everything will stop. It is a different issue altogether from the Kosovo issue.
Mr. Habib, Macedonian authorities have said while some of the fighters are homegrown, most came over the border from Kosovo. They say these are former Kosovo Liberation Army fighters, KLA. Do you think that they are rebels who have found a new cause?
No, they are not from Kosovo. The Kosovo Liberation Army has been disarmed. The centers where they exist in Kosovo are under very strict scrutiny by the K4. There are guards on the borders between Kosovo and Macedonia, and nobody can do that. Force a claim by the government of Macedonia.
Macedonia has been calling on NATO to be more aggressive, but K4 cannot hunt down the Albanians. I mean, it's not their duty to do that. They're only there to protect themselves and protect anyone under threat, but they cannot actually hunt down the Albanian fighters.
Well, they shouldn't, because the Albanians are fighting for their cause in Macedonia. They are not foreign army or foreign rebels, and they have mobilized the Serbian armed forces to the borders of Macedonia and Serbia to do the job for them. So they want to clear themselves from the situation, the trouble there.
Thank you for clarifying this point. Before we move on to another point, let's just go over to Nihal and see if we have any questions. Nihal?
Hello, good evening. Good evening. I am Madam Noor from Kosovo. Welcome to the program. Go ahead with your question, please. I want just first to thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for introducing very good explanation about Albanian. And I want also to explain to the people also the Albanian and Montenegro, which is also a part in Montenegro when they leave Albania. And same time, I think that Mr. Mohammed was working before in UNESCO. So what about UNESCO is going to do now for our children who are without parents after the war in Kosovo? About the schools, the education, the medical treatment, who is going to look after that? And same time, he explained very good about Macedonians. They are not terrorists. These people, they have their own rights. And always they consider as a second people, not the first. And always they used to come in Kosovo to get their education. And it's very big part, and there are so many towns and very beautiful area in Macedonia when they leave Albania. Most of them, they work outside abroad and all over Europe and America to get to feed their families in Macedonia. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was Mrs. Noor from Kosovo. Sir?
Yeah. Yes, Noor, you are quite right. But, you know, if you have listened carefully, they said I am an ex-consultant of the UNESCO, and I have nothing to do with UNESCO now. If I am still in UNESCO, I could not have talked about politics, because this is prohibited. But I don't know what at the moment UNESCO intend to do.
We cannot talk about UNESCO's role in the conflict.
Yes, I can't.
What about, was there another part of the question?
Well, just to remind me if I have forgotten.
Right, what can be done for the children after the conflict is over? The parentless children and the homeless. Perhaps we can put a call through the program to the international community to help there.
Yeah.
Sir, let me ask you, is this another sectarian hotspot? We have the Muslim Albanians. They're in a governing coalition led by Christian Macedonians. Is this all about religion?
Well, the religion is involved, but in a way that it is basically the politician work. It is the politician's work, and they used to manipulate religion and other things as well. But if you leave the people together, they will live in peace. It's only the politicians' work, and I think there is nothing else. It is not the sectarian or whatever. No.
You don't believe so?
I don't believe so.
If the conflict drags on, there are fears that the country will polarize further, split between Macedonians and Albanians will become more dangerous, and this could become a civil conflict, which it isn't yet. It's a sort of a typical Balkan tinderbox, where we have two ethnicities that have been rivals for a long time. What does this fighting mean for the former Yugoslavia? Do we see a wider Balkan war?
Well, it is up to, again, it's up to the politicians to sit down and negotiate things peacefully, politically, with the leaders of the Muslim Albanians in Macedonia, and with the help of the international community. If they can do that, everything will be dissolving. I'll always put the blame on the politicians. If they want to play the game of manipulation, they will get the war. If they want peace, they will get the peace. The Albanians are in a very weak position. They have to talk to the world, to call the world to come in and solve their problems. That's why they are doing these things.
But they have called for dialogue if the ceasefire holds, and it hasn't been holding.
Well, it's up to the government, because there is now a large-scale campaign against the ethnic Albanians, the civilians in the Albanian area.
And we have the National Liberation Army now. They've been left out.
Well, these are few people there in the mountains. The Liberation Army, it's a big name, but in fact there are very few people.
Right, so let's see what happens. If the fighting continues, it can increase tensions within former Yugoslav republics that are near the Kosovo province. There's danger of peaceful inter-ethnic relations unraveling in different republics. So the Macedonian government wants to end this before the situation becomes a civil conflict.
Well, yes, but not the way the government is doing it. It is quite wrong. They have to sit down with the leaders of the Albanian Muslims and solve their problem. The war will not solve any problems in Macedonia. I would like to emphasize here one very important thing. The Albanians' problem is the only nationality problem in the whole of Europe, which has not been solved yet. All the nationalities problems in Europe, particularly in Eastern Europe, have been solved, except these people. And they will get their own independence in 50 years. They have the patience. They have the patience. They have the stamina. They have been fighting centuries for their rights to be fulfilled. And they will keep this spirit all the way until they have their independence, either by political settlements or by fighting by the army.
Right. Let's go over and see if we have any callers. Nihal?
We have Miss Mona online. Hello?
Yes. Historically, I want to know that Albanians are the first people came in this place, or Macedonian people. The second question on this context is, if Albanians are more ethnic people has came before than Macedonian, why they are treated badly, may I say, because they are not taking a big role in the government and the other governmental institutions? The third question is, if now is created the new government in Macedonia, you think that this government should negotiate with the Liberation Army which is created in Macedonia or not? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So let's add the first question, who was there first, the Albanians or the Macedonians?
It doesn't make any difference at all. I would like to clarify this point too, because the Albanians lived there in this area for a long time. This area extends from Albania to Macedonia, north of whatever they call it, Greece, and part of Montenegro.
That's right.
Kosovo is included.
Yeah.
So all this area has been inhabited by ethnic Albanians for so many centuries. And it is funny to ask who came first, because this is very ancient. Actually, the Albanians are there even before the Serb entered the Balkans. The Serbs were in Europe, in the north of the river Danube, and they crossed the river Danube in the 7th century. When they crossed the river Danube to the area which was called at that time Rashka, not Serbia, the Albanians were there before them.
So why are they being treated as second-class citizens?
Because they changed their religion. They became Muslims.
Yeah.
So they are looked at as being affiliated with the Turks who spread Islam in the area.
And the Macedonian Slavs are largely of Eastern Orthodox faith.
Yes.
Faith.
Yeah.
Right. There was one more question about the National Liberation Army, and if a new government is formed, would they talk to the army, and would there be a political dialogue?
Well, I hope so. The Serbian government did not accept during Milosevic to talk to anybody from Kosovo, even the politicians. They didn't want even to talk to Brahim Rugova. But they were forced to talk to Brahim Rugova and the Kosovo Liberation Army to solve the problem. I think the government of Macedonia should do the same.
Mr. Addis, I think we should clarify to the viewers here that after months of fighting, Macedonia's parliament was today expected to ratify the makeup of a new national unity government. The parliament session was to convene at 1500 GMT to approve new ministers from 4 main parties, 2 Slav-dominated and 2 ethnic Albanian, and some affiliated smaller parties. Does this signal an end to the problem then, to the conflict?
Actually, I don't know exactly what is happening now, but I think if they take the right path to negotiation, they will get to a good solution.
Yes, the ethnic Albanians are to be given 4 cabinet positions to the Democratic Party of Albanians. They're to be in charge of the economic and labor ministries, while justice and local government move from the Democratic Party of Albanians, the DPA, to the Party for Democratic Prosperity, the PDP, the last party to join the coalition. And we have the Prime Minister's Slav-dominated party, VMRO, will keep the Interior Ministry along with transport and 3 other portfolios. That's the new coalition.
This is good news. It's a good indication that people are serious to solve the problems.
Hopefully it will signal an end
yes,
to
I
this.
hope so.
Over to you, Nihal. Any more callers?
Yes, we have a Hungarian citizen who lives in Egypt. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, your name please, madam?
I'm Milona, and I'm from Budapest. I'm from Hungary, so I'm really close to the problem. I will accept something only because the people all the time wait anywhere in the world happen something, the NATO and American help running and try work out the problem, but I must know the people now, the NATO and my country getting sick and getting tired and fix it all the time. Another country problem. It's a problem beginning a good 10 years. And all the time they said we must feed the people there, we must help the people there. Our problem is also big. In my country have enough problems, so we can feed them, we can fix it another country problem. This is the first. The second, the way the NATO army go and save them. My brothers, my husband, my anyone who is important for me, I must go there and must die something about not his problem. My husband or my brother ready to die his country, but not ready to die from another country. And this only I must know for the people they were really full with this problem, and all the NATO and the US they live very far. Why must care something really far from them? I'm not Muslim, and I must go and die from about the Muslim Alban. So it's really for me really big. And I don't understand, it's getting very difficult for me. And this lady said we must think about the orphan children and must think about the poor and the fasting and many things. But so we 10 years we feed them, and we 10 years we guard them, and we 10 years we try to make everything, and we have now power, and we have now energy, and we have now money. And now we're really tired and then sick for this. So I want to only say this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think the question there was simply, should neighboring countries become involved in the problem? A country like Hungary, why should it become involved? I think that was the question with the problems in Macedonia.
Well, this is not the main issue of there are an international community who is involved in this. If Hungary or any other country wants to do any effort for the citizens, well, they can talk to the international community and give them support.
I think she feels the opposite. She feels her country has its own internal problems and she doesn't need to get involved. in other affairs, foreign affairs?
But I haven't heard the question well. But which country she belongs to?
She's from Hungary.
Ah, she's from Hungary. And she doesn't want
To get involved.
Well, good luck for her. I don't think that there is any problem for her for measure in this issue.
Right. Any more questions, Nihal?
Yes, we have a caller online. Hello?
Yes, hello. Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your question, please.
Yeah, I'm a Kosovo Albanian, and just a question came to mind by listening to your program now. Mr. Mahmoud said that probably the only nationality in Yugoslavia, nation in Yugoslavia, who still has problems like this are Albanians. And then after some time, Mrs. Nihal said that why are Albanians being treated as second class or second-rate citizens when they are ethnically first there? So you responded, Mr. Mahmoud, by saying that probably because they became Muslim. So I want to ask now, knowing that political problems like this are interrelated, it happens in one country, but when you listen after 50 years about problems like this, you know that big powers are always related to these problems. So I wanted to ask, is Europe or the world, probably Europe more, is it afraid of Islam in Europe? Is this why Albanian problems are always being neglected like this, or they last so long? Every 20 years we have problems like this where hundreds or thousands of people get killed and others have to leave their homes. Is this because Europe is afraid of Islam, or what is your opinion? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think that's a very good question. Are the big powers afraid of Islam? Why she thinks that they may be behind all that's happening, all the sectarian strife everywhere in the world. What are your beliefs? May I just clarify that our guest is Mr. Mohammed Yusuf Baat, former councillor for UNESCO and an expert on the Balkans region. Sir.
Well, it is true that Islamophobia is a fact in Europe.
Is a threat to Western nations.
Well, it is not a real threat. It is an imagined threat to the Western people and Western countries. But the Muslims are very peaceful in Europe. They work, they participate in the European civilization. They do everything to live in peace with other communities. But of course, in Europe, they have their own fears. However, this is not the main issue. The main issue is that the Europeans don't want massive migration from the troubled areas. And of course, they have preferences. If migrants have to enter Europe, then they would like to select the right people in their ideas, in their views. So they have priorities. First, from such and such country, and the last would be the Muslim Kosovars or Muslim Albanians in Macedonia or Maqdoonia. This is the thing. They don't want massive migration from this area.
Suppose that these ethnic Albanian fighters want a separate independent state of their own.
They haven't declared that. They didn't say it, so we don't have...
They're simply asking for equal rights.
That's all what they ask for, just equal rights. If they have it, everything will be solved.
If we look at the response or reaction of the international community to what's been happening, we find that Western officials have thrown their support behind the new coalition government and Macedonia's efforts to quash the Albanian fighters. What are your comments on the international stance towards the problem?
It's again a wrong approach to solving the problem. there was a mistake by the Europeans in in Bosnia. They had their lesson from Milosevic. They supported Milosevic. They ignored all what he did to the Muslims in Bosnia. They threatened Milosevic to do that, such and such, but they didn't do anything. So Milosevic knew that he can do the same problem in Kosovo and get away with it. When he did it, they realized that they were mistaken, and they had to do something to stop that evil man, and they did it right. Now they are going back to their own mistake and sit down and see what is going to happen with this little community of Muslim Albanians in Macedonia. But if the Muslim Albanians in Macedonia keep their struggle against the oppression, the European community will come and they will step in to solve this problem.
Hopefully with the new coalition, the government, the broad-based government, is expected to have 2/3 majority necessary to approve constitutional reforms demanded by the ethnic Albanian minority, which makes up 1/3 of the population. So the only thing that worries me is that the leaders of the National Liberation Army were not invited to the bargaining table. So
this is another mistake.
Yes.
They have to be invited, at least, to find out if these people are from Kosovo or from Macedonia.
The Macedonian government refuses to negotiate with them, describing them as terrorists.
Milosevic said the same about the Kosovo Liberation Army. He said that they are, whatever he said, but the problem in Kosovo was not be solved except when the National Liberation Army came into the negotiation table.
It seems it's a worldwide phenomenon now that anyone who speaks up and asks for their right, they're branded as terrorists. And
yeah, that's right.
Right, over to you, Nihal. Any more callers? We have a few minutes left, so...
Yes, we have Mr. Ashraf Said online. Hello?
Can I ask you a question, mister? Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your question, sir.
Okay, where is the power of the Muslims all over the world? Why don't we make some office, something to control our power all over the world, to present our people, our Muslims all over the world? Okay?
A power to protect Muslims.
Thank you.
He is asking for a power to protect Muslims worldwide.
Well, the international community did not listen to Yasser Arafat to bring in the observers or whatever in Palestine to defend the Palestinian citizens from the Israeli army. You are widening the area so that all the Muslims in the world, all the minorities, the Muslim minorities to be defended. I think nobody will listen to you. When the problem in Palestine is solved, maybe the other problems of...
But he has a point there. There's always strength in unity. So why don't the Muslims of the world get together and form a power of their own, protect themselves?
Well, this is a big question, and it needs another hour to answer. But yes, it is the right of the Muslims everywhere in the world to come together and make a power that can stop the genocide that is going on everywhere for the Muslim minorities in the Philippines, in Kashmir, everywhere.
Or better still, one world, unite?
Hopefully, yes.
Right. Nihal, over to you now.
Yes, we have Mr. Ihab Mandur online. Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Go ahead with your question, please.
Recently, President Bush pledged unconditional support for the Macedonian government in crushing the Muslim Albanians. Do you think this will affect the other country in their support for the Albanians?
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome. So thank you. Bye.
Can you repeat?
The question from Ihab Mandur, he said that recently American President George Bush expressed his unconditional support for the Macedonian government in quashing the Albanian fighters. He says, do you think this will affect other countries' stances towards the crisis?
Maybe. Well, the Bush attitude towards the problem in Palestine is the same. Well, I'm not surprised. He saw the conflict in Palestine between an army that is killing the civilian people, and he is calling for the both sides to stop violence. I'm just wondering who is the violent party, or the children in Palestine, or Israeli army. Well, the problem is there, and I'm not surprised of Mr. Bush attitude.
But do you think that the United States has the power to affect other countries' opinions? Do they just follow blindly what the U.S., whatever stance the U.S. takes?
Well, whoever follow blindly has to blame himself because he's taking the wrong attitude towards the problem.
Right. Any more questions, Nihal?
We have Mr. Abdelaziz online. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead with the question, please.
Can I ask a few questions to the Matthew?
Yes?
Please,
We've lost him.
I have an email question. It's from Mr. Mohannad Mahmoud Nada. It says, dear sir, the Albanians represent 1/3 of the Macedonian population. So what is Europe's role in protecting their rights?
Europe's role in protecting the rights of the Albanians.
I can't understand the question properly.
She said that the Albanians represent 1/3 of the country's 2 million people.
Yeah.
What role can Europe play to protect their rights?
Well,
That's the question.
Well, Europe knows what to do to protect their rights. I don't think the problem is so obscure in front of Europe. They know what to do.
What about the NATO forces there and the role that they play, the KFOR?
In Macedonia?
In containing the crisis?
Well, so far they have not done anything. They just follow what the claims of the Macedonian government, and they mobilize their forces on the borders between Kosovo and Macedonia. They invited the Serbs to move their army, their armed forces to the borders there between Serbia and Macedonia, on the assumption that there are the people from Liberation Army, Kosovo Liberation Army, crossing the borders to Macedonia, which is a wrong assumption. But you don't know what is really they want to do.
But sir, you believe that all the Albanians are from Macedonia itself, because we have these Albanian fighters squeezed in Kosovo and southern Serbia. In Kosovo, the former rebels were routed in local elections last autumn. They were marginalized politically, so their only source of power was their weapons. So it is believed that some of them took up their weapons and went over the border to fight for a new cause. And for some of them also it was a lucrative smuggling route.
Do they have solved their own problems in Kosovo so that they open another front, a new front in Macedonia? I don't believe in all this. The Albanians in Macedonia have their own problems with the government. And anything is happening there, what is happening there is because the government stand is not the right one. So why do we have to assume that there are interference from other places and from other people?
Right, one last question from me.
Okay.
Is what's happening there a Balkan time bomb, do you think?
It all depends on what they are going to do with this problem. It can be a bomb, it can be just ordinary movement, so that to attract the attention of the international community. If the problem is solved, it will not be a bomb. It is up to the politicians there. If they wanted a bomb, it will be a bomb.
Mr. Mohammed Yusuf Ad, former councillor for UNESCO and expert on the Balkans region, thank you very much for joining us on IMTV International.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, Nihal.
We have a last question. It's a fax question that has just arrived from Mrs. Samira Dashen. It said, how are ethnic Albanians discriminated?
How are they discriminated against?
I don't know how they are discriminated against, but the fact is they are discriminated against by
in terms of jobs and educational opportunities?
Well, yes. That's happening for a long time now, and they thought that it is time now to be finished, to be solved. I'm not sure that we can elaborate a great deal on this point either.
Nihal?
Well, that's all for today's episode. Again, we thank Mr. Mohammed Yusuf for being open to question tonight. Wait for us next week at the same time. I'm Nihal Qabari. Thanks for watching.